Woohoo! What's going on, comic friends? It's Ryan the Colossus Collector, and we are back with another meeting of the Council of X. And I hereby declare that this meeting is now in session. Tonight, we've got a few of our council members here already. We've got Bruce from Up North Comics. What's going on, Bruce?
Not much, Ryan. You?
Doing good, doing good. Troy from Awesome Toy Box with Troy. How's it going?
What's going on?
We've got Josh from Sasquatch Comicx.
Gentlemen and ladies and mutants alike. Good evening.
And we've got Eric from SideQuest Comics. What's going on, Eric?
What's up, guys? What's up?
And we might have one more. Who knows? You never know. But we're here tonight to talk some X-Men. Of course, we're through X-Men 97, which has been one of our big topics over the last few episodes. So we're getting back into just straight up X-Men comic talk. There might be some references here and there to X-Men 97, but tonight the theme, the idea was that we would all just go around and talk about our favorite singular moments from the various X-Men characters, the OG characters, so to speak, the ones that have been synonymous with the X-Men for many years. So, without further ado, we like to usually set the table, cleanse the palate before we start to talk. And we do that with a little segment we call Pages of X. Let's go.
Pages of X.
Good evening, Earth beings and council members alike. Thanks, Ryan, for the opportunity to record this. It was a lot of fun. Well, without further ado, I give you the Wolverine. Enjoy.
With astounding speed, the snarling Wolverine hurtles forward, his very momentum scattering the two massive monsters who loom before him. Heads up, Harrys. The Wolverine is coming through. Flash.
Huh? Little man attacks Hulk?
That's about the size of it, Sonny. The government sent me to take care of you, Hulk. And I'm a gent who always does his job.
Stand still, little man, or Hulk will smash.
Sorry, Hulk, but seeing as how you're 2 feet taller than I am, how you outweigh me by about 100 stone, I'll just keep moving if you please, because moving is the thing I do best.
Bah! Little man jumps around like a big rabbit.
Like a Wolverine, if you don't mind, Hulk. And like a Wolverine, I've got claws, forged of diamond-hard adamantium, and the power to back 'em up. And since those claws can't seem to pierce that incredible emerald hide of yours, why don't we see how they fare against your shaggy friend?
Roar!
Ah, that's much better.
Okay, press this button here. That should stop it. Oh. How many takes was that? Oh. Wolverine would have been proud of that. Yeah. Though I wouldn't want adamantium claws. I would, adamantium bones. It's heavy. Weigh me down. He did say, though, that the best thing that he does, we all thought it was killing and murder, but it's moving. I think, well, like I said, it would be my superpower. The best thing I do is move. Bowel move. Oh, it's still recording. No. Fuck.
Thanks to Josh for doing Pages of X and adding a little bit of extra humor to it. That was great. Also want to add in Mike, who's backstage. What's going on, Mike?
There's Mike.
Sorry, I'm late, guys. It's been a day.
No worries. Oh,
Happy
dude,
Monday.
you missed my pre-show ramble about how somewhat unprepared I am for tonight. So no worries. If this goes off the rails, it goes off the rails. So yeah, Josh, thanks for doing that. That was awesome.
My pleasure. That was so much fun.
Josh chose the page, and it doesn't really have anything specific to do with our thoughts tonight, but it is a pretty seminal, important moment in Wolverine, as it was his first. Well, let's not start that debate. It was sort of his first appearance, one of the first pages of comics he ever appeared in. So, again, thanks, Josh. So let's say hello to everyone in the chat. We've got our fellow council member Dan's X-Men Comics. What's going on, brother? We've got Flo Wolf Comics. Hey, ex-counselors, hope you're all ready or reading some cool X-Men storylines these days. I'm still working through old stuff, but I know some of these guys here are keeping up to date with the new stuff. I'm actually hoping to jump into the new books that come out post Krakoa.
Good way to start.
Jumping on point. We've got Sal from the Codex station, Sal's Comic Corner. How's it going, Sal? Thanks for joining us. Of course, we've got Eric, who's literally with us. And then we've got Richard Westfall. Thanks for joining, as always, Richard. And then we also have Solid Teleport. It's that time once again for some X-Men talk. Yes, it is. And then lastly, we've got Marshall Warpath. Greetings, Homo Superiors. Thanks for joining us tonight, Marshall. All right, so like I said before, Pages of X, we're going to be talking about our favorite singular moments for all the different X-Men characters. I gotta be honest. I had to scramble to get some thoughts down on paper before the show tonight. But I think between the six of us, we'll be able to talk about plenty of awesome moments in X-Men comics. So to start off, let's start off with Iceman. Who wants to jump in first? What's your favorite moment from Iceman?
I got one because more of a question.
Mike, go. Yeah, Mike's good to start off.
So no, this is driving me crazy because there is a panel I've been looking for years. I read this book as a kid. I know I still have the comic book, but I can't find it. I'm hoping you guys can help me. I thought it was one of the X-Men, like Unlimited, something like that, but I can't find it. So this is the scene in question. The X-Men are fighting bad guys on a beach. Bad guys do something really bad. They hurt somebody. X-Men show up. Wolverine's talking to them. You think it's about to be a fight. And then Iceman drops a gigantic block of ice on them, and it's like the size of a building. And I cannot find that comic book. I've been looking for it. Does anyone here, all of you, this August Body fans, or anyone in the chat, know what I'm talking about? I thought it was X-Men Unlimited.
The Phalanx Covenant? Did you drop ice on the Phalanx?
It wasn't Phalanx. They're like mutants, bad mutants.
Remember the era by chance?
It's 90s. It's 90s. I read it as a kid. Yeah. But that's one of my favorite Iceman moments. I just wish I could show it to you. I thought
it was awesome.
Yeah, and it's huge. I didn't know Iceman would kill people at the time, and I was thinking wow, that got real. And it's Wolverine. You think it's gonna be this great fight, and he's just all of a sudden you see it fall out of the sky and just crush him. He goes, that's courtesy of my buddy Iceman. It was awesome.
Mic drop moment. Only it's a block of ice.
Correct. Yeah,
I love it. I'll jump in. I'm like Mike. I don't recall exact issue, but it was in X Factor when he was part of the original X Factor run, and they were dealing with they were in Asgard, I think, if my memory serves me, and Bobby had to like go like absolute over like God mode of his powers, like freeze this this mechanism that was or he was being used to freeze Asgard or something like that. My memory's shot, but that was a really cool like just overpower moment like that I feel was kind of like one of the first times you really started to see him like how powerful he could be, like his omega level power level. I don't know if that was in an annual or if it was in one of the
I think
X.
that's an annual, if I remember right.
It's an annual, okay, yeah. There was frost giants, and
Yeah.
he had to wear this belt to kind of like control his over freezing after that.
Yeah, that was his powers were kind of going out of control, and yeah,
Yeah.
they got that belt to kind of tone him down.
But it was from I think it was from that situation where Loki was using him to like basically like freeze Asgard, and from that point on he had to wear that limiter belt that he had for a while after that.
Okay.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I so like from the comic books, you know, like Richard says in the chat, he's so underused and underdeveloped. He's Omega level, but there's not a lot of scenes with Iceman that really step out to me. In recent times, there's a cool run in the Marauders where Iceman and Pyro kind of use fire and ice together, which is, pretty fun. But I think my most memorable Iceman is in the movie Days of Future Past at the beginning, when he's circling, he's actually sliding on his ice and circling the Sentinel, and then the Sentinel grabs him and just like pops his head off. That was pretty dope.
Nice.
I can think of one in the recent run of Marauders. I think it was volume 1. You mentioned him and Pyro teaming up. That's kind of when they really expanded his power set in that run. And I kind of remember him fighting Fing Fang Foom. He like grew to that size and like kind of gave him a beat down to the dragon, took off and said, okay, I'm out of here. I had enough. They really expanded him in that series to the point that it's just like, where are his limits, type of thing. So it's kind of cool. And I think they're still kind of pushing that envelope with him.
Like, can you kill Iceman?
See, that's my favorite moment was in 331 when he gets a hole blown through him. And he freaks out thinking that if he transforms back into human, he's going to be dead.
Yeah.
And when he does, he doesn't. Obviously, he didn't die. But that's like the very first glimpse of just how powerful he really is, and indestructible too.
I mean, I guess there's got to be a point where like he could be evaporated, right? Like, or if he got melted and then evaporated.
He does. He still comes back though.
Oh, geez. All right.
It just rains and freezes. It's the cycle.
Yeah. That was another big reveal. That was in the Draco, that storyline I hate. But right before that, a few issues, he got another injury like that. He got injured as a human, and it filled with ice, and thought it was weird. It kept taking over, and eventually he turned into ice for the first time. And when he goes to hell, he evaporates, and they think he's gone. He ends up coming back because his power isn't ice; it's entropy. He can just change his body into any form of temperature control. It's actually, he's ridiculously overpowered if you actually think about it. So I agree. He's underutilized. He's clearly an Omega level mutant though.
Yeah.
Any more moments? Any thoughts?
I don't have a moment because I'm not that familiar with Iceman. I don't want to jump out and say I have a special moment in my mind, but I really liked the character as a kid. I don't know, what my little brain was thinking of at the time. Maybe it was just the way he looked. I just remember the action figure when it came out. You put it in the freezer and it turns blue. Mike, I think you still have one, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, there.
Right there.
Yeah. It was cool when they finally did him. I felt they did him a little bit justice in Days of Future Past, the movie, when you get to see him actually like slide on an ice chute and fight those Sentinels at the beginning of the movie. That was pretty cool.
I gotta say, we gotta give extra props to Iceman though, because my first, introduction to Marvel at all was Spidey and His Amazing Friends, and I thought it was pretty cool that he could slide around. So, thought Iceman was cool when I was like 4. So that's saying it's actually probably the first mutant, right, along with Firestar, I really knew about.
There you go.
So in X Factor, Beast was able to disable that belt and was able to cut loose and free the other members. There was an X book where the White Queen took over his body and showed him how powerful he is.
Ooh, I remember that.
Richard said, in all the early X-Men, he is drawn throwing snowballs. Yeah, well, like his original form was
just boots.
Snowball. Yeah, that snowman form. And then they finally they cleaned that up a little bit.
Yeah.
What's going on next, Gen? Hayden, he's going to be coming on for an X-Men collector chat soon. So looking forward to that.
Nice. Cool.
Heck yeah.
All right. So moving on from Bobby, we've got Cyclops, everyone's favorite X-Men. What do you guys think for Cyclops moments?
Before we talk about moments, how many people have read the newest comic where Nimrod states that Cyclops is an Omega level mutant?
I heard that.
I was like, wait a second.
But I don't know. That I feel like they're playing fast and loose with the definition of Omega level, because Nimrod says he's like the Omega mutant, meaning like he's the end game in all of his hypothetical scenarios that he's gone through. So it's not like he's saying he's an Omega level unlimited power. It's like he's saying he is in every scenario that could be, he's the last one standing and the only one that can actually damage him. So I thought it was weird the way they worded that. I think like a lot of the media is like, oh, he's an Omega level mutant. I'm like, I don't really think that's what Nimrod was saying. Maybe they are, but I think that's not right. They're changing the definition of what Omega means.
Yeah, I think Mike, you're more on the nose on that one, but like they play fast and loose with how his optic blasts work all the time, which is fun because you can do so much, and it's cool that the show kind of added something new to that fold. But like, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't it somewhere that like his mutant blasts come from like a power dimension? Like he channels the like from another blast dimension.
But they dropped it. Like so they had that be the explanation like once to explain why every time he doesn't open his eyes, his head blasts backwards, right? Because he'd be equal and opposite reaction, right? They brought it up once and they never brought it up again. So I don't know how canon is. It's supposed to be a concussive dimension of concussive force. His eyes are a portal and they just kind of let it go.
Let's love it because comic books, and that's all you need.
Yeah,
that's it. One of those things you can't think about it too much because obviously every time he would use his powers, he'd fly backwards. Right?
Would that mean then Havoc's power derives from the same place, and that's why
they are immune to each other's powers?
Yeah, right.
That's cool. That's it. Right.
So Cyclops moments. Who's got a favorite Cyclops moment?
I have a good one, but it's not favorable for Scott.
Fine. It's your favorite moment.
It's when he left Maddie in Alaska and little to go run back to Jean.
Yeah, the worst Cyclops moment, literally.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, to piggyback on that, and Jim Lee's X-Men #1, or is it #2, when he's working on the Thunderbird, and here comes Psylocke, and she like wipes oil off his like chin, and they start to make out, and Jean's just like,
I forgot about
as a
that.
kid, I was like, motherfucker is cheating on Jean Grey. She's got red hair. Like, what is going on? So he was big pimping, but I didn't like it at all. I really didn't like Cyclops after that, and I hated Psylocke. But yet, there's something about like the Jezebel that always did it for me. So I don't know.
Everybody likes Emma Frost.
Oh yeah, Emma. Yeah, I want Emma to dom me any day.
Sal, although not a singular moment, but yeah, I like that too. I like when he uses like ricochet shots or like good arithmetic to like he always knew how to like plan these beam ricochet shots, and
that's his power too, right? Isn't that a power? He has like unerring geometry, trigonometry.
Yeah, geometry. I think they state that in the Marvel Universe guidebook is his uncanny ability for geometry, and they show a picture of him playing pool.
Right. Exactly.
He's a smart guy.
I was trying to think of comic moments, but I kept coming back to I always liked how in the original animated series when he would shoot at Sinister, like that was like the only thing that ever could eat away at his body, and like he in the animated cartoon it was always like this green like goop, and he would yell out and yell out for his cronies to like come and save him and stuff. That was always the thing that just always popped in my head with when
give us an impression
of Cyclops. Oh, I'm not doing an impression of
my favorite moment is from X Factor when he actually killed Mr. Sinister, or it was a clone or whatever. I don't know how they retconned it. I don't remember, but he actually turned him into freaking just bones. And Sinister had Jean Grey captured. Beast sweeps in and jumps him out, and Cyclops just unleashes on him, turning him into bones.
Love it.
Pretty good moment.
Was that at the tail end of what was it? Fall of the Mutants or Mutant Massacre? Or was that later on? It rings a bell. I feel like I would have read that because I haven't read X Factor, but I've read a bunch of X Factor from it being collected in omnibus for certain events. So like Fall of the Mutants and
I'm trying to remember. It's either I think it's Fall of the Mutants or Inferno. One of those two, I believe.
Inferno. Yeah. Inferno. That's probably what it was.
I like
maybe
Cyclops. Oh, sorry. I really like it. I guess this isn't necessarily a good look either, but I like Cyclops in Avengers vs. X-Men. He's pretty cool throughout that whole series in general. He's really trying to defend the mutants and kind of just like, he's just him and Cap are just having at it, talking wise. But then later, of course, he becomes part of the Phoenix Force. And it's cool to see Cyclops kind of for the first time. He's always been kind of a Boy Scout, but also a jerk in the background. For him to be just unfiltered, he's just a jerk. It was kind of cool to see that villain turn for him. I liked him because, at the end, when he, the highlight of the whole series when he faces Professor X, he just lets loose. He just like unleashes everything, all the pent up frustration he ever had with his mentor. And it's pretty awesome. So again, not his best shining moment, but a cool character moment, I thought.
Interesting. I think that whole time period, Mike, like with all new X-Men was same time period. He was kind of more this is what we're doing and this is how it is. And there's Magneto in the background just going like, yeah,
that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yep. Where, he kind of was like a little bit tired of playing the good guy, right. He was still a good guy, but we're going to get it done no matter what type of thing.
Right.
Well, was it Ultimate Comics where he destroyed Magneto's head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked him in the very first episode of the new series, 97. When he used his lasers to scoot around the floor. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And I loved him in 138.
Gene.
I
don't know how to be
during the extinction
father.
During the extinction story, him and Havoc cut loose on Cameron Hodge. Oh, Cameron Hodge. He deserved it.
He does deserve it.
And then Richard said, Marvel had so many opportunities to showcase his leadership skills. I mean, he's definitely been like always one of the leaders of X-Men or X Factor whenever he's there. So I feel like they've shown a lot of character qualities and faults with Cyclops. He's a well-rounded character with a lot of story and a lot of development.
Yeah, one of the misnomers I think is that he's a Boy Scout. And yes, he's the Boy Scout archetype. But if you follow the comics, like that era where, X-Men versus Avengers, and then like when he gets the Phoenix Force, like his arc is so like just fantastic. And yes, even in the Age of Krakoa, like I think that's some of his best. Like Scott Summers knows himself. Happens in Age of Krakoa, but he's still the Boy Scout. But he's not about what Xavier and everybody has to say. He's kind of doing it his own way. But yeah, really complicated and amazing character.
Yeah, Richard follows that up saying, but there's never been a defining moment he showed his leadership. I can't think of anything, but I mean, I guess if it was like a real like huge moment, maybe not, but I feel like he's shown leadership throughout his time as the leader of X-Men or X-Factor. All right, so let's move on from Cyclops to Remy. I'm just gonna jump in because somebody else is gonna say it. The best moment is the X-Men 97 moment. Like that, just I feel for me, having not read a lot of Gambit, like that's just the thing that sticks out, and like just I mean, it was incredible. And
when he dies, that was awesome.
Well, I mean, it was gut wrenching, but like it was such a cool moment. Like
good way to go out.
Yeah, like taking out this like impossible to kill Sentinel and like seeing his powers. Like I never knew that he could do something like that. It was pretty cool.
It was really cool.
I hate to go back to AVX again, but I'm gonna. So the cool thing about AVX is the main storyline, Avengers vs. X-Men, but they also had these separate versus comics that were sprinkled in, where you just see it was like basically just a fight or two fights per thing. So if you read just the main series, you would see like the aftermath of these fights, but you wouldn't know what happened if you read them out of order. And that's what happens. At one point, Cap brings the Avengers to fight the X-Men, and in one of the panels, you just see Cap has defeated Gambit. And I was like, that would not happen that easily. That makes no sense. But then there was a whole AVX Gambit versus Cap, and the fight is fantastic because, Cap is fighting, no problem. He's fighting tons of people, and he's radioing the other Avengers and planning where they're going, and he's fighting Gambit, and he's ignoring Gambit. He's easily kind of stopping Gambit and dodging, but Gambit kind of gets ticked at him. He throws a shield at him. Gambit charges the shield and throws it back. And then finally, when they're fighting, Gambit touches Captain America, and Cap says, we both know you can't charge organic matter. And he said, those fish scales aren't from a fish. And he charges Cap's suit, and the suit blows up. And then when Cap gets out of the crater, he goes, all right, Gambit. He throws down like the earpiece. Now you have my full attention. And then they go into like a fist fight against each other, and it's kick ass. It's one of my favorite comics of all time. Awesome. He does lose. Cap knocks him out. It's silly, but up to that point, it's pretty great. That's cool. Classic.
That sounds epic.
I recommend everyone read that one. It's a good one. It's quick.
Yeah. I haven't read that. That's great.
More moments? Favorite moments?
I don't think that my favorite moment that jumps out to me is, again, going back to Jim Lee's X-Men when they're playing basketball and, Jubilee's narrating him. He can't miss a shot, and Wolverine, he's just running circles around Wolverine, who's supposed to be like, a human spring, like super agile, but it just shows you just through a game of basketball, his agility, and that, he's got Wolverine's number. And of course, Wolverine's a selfish bitch and slices the hoop and it falls over.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they get along too well. Gambit and Wolverine.
It's almost that same level that Wolverine and Deadpool have, but not quite as extreme. Wolverine, I think people like annoy Wolverine pretty easily, and he's just one of those characters that has that nonchalant, doesn't take anything serious, whereas Wolverine, everything is serious.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite moment, Eric?
I actually really liked the newest series they did with Gambit, and it was kind of a retro series where it was him and young Storm running around. It was kind of interesting to see them expand that relationship he had with Storm. We we got that relationship back in the day, just in a short little bit. So having Chris Claremont expand that relationship out a little bit was kind of cool to see him. I consider Gambit your classic scoundrel. He's your Han Solo type of thing. He's not the good guy, so to say, but he is going to do the right thing type of thing. So it's nice to see him as that like kind of role model to like whether it's Storm or Jubilee in the old series. So it's not really a moment, but it's, I think, something about him that I like. I like that little aspect of him.
Yeah.
Well, him having kind of like roots in thievery, and so does Storm, that makes for such a great duo to explore more. I would love to read that. Troy, any thoughts?
Well, my favorite moment is one of my panels I'm going to show later, so I'll hold off until then.
Okay, fair enough. We'll circle back around. Sal said Gambit during Onslaught arc, he all casual about being the bad guy with Bishop. And then Unlimited wrote Wolverine 87, Gambit and Wolvie go to Madripoor to go on a bender, but end up hunting Maverick. Love that issue. That sounds like a good one too. All right. Next up, Archangel. What's your guys' favorite moments?
The lamest X-Man. Then I'll say it out loud first.
Second. Rich brat.
Yeah. I like in the late 300s, 400s issues where he became more of a leader. A lot of the other X-Men had stepped aside, and he was like one of the sole leaders of the X-Men. He had a relationship with Husk, which was kind of weird. But they tried making him cool, so he had more of a leadership ability. They showed that he had healing blood. I don't know. They tried to make him look cool, and that was probably the only time I can remember like liking him.
My favorite moment's just when he turned back to so he became Death through Apocalypse, and then I liked that when he turned back, and it was like a nice way of like making this character at least a little bit better when he became Archangel, because Angel before I agree with Mike, like pretty lame, but with Archangel at least now he's got some like just a little bit more like demons to battle, and then the wings, the metal wings that should shoot blades and stuff. I just thought that made him a little bit more cool, and less kind of dorky, just a guy with white wings. So I liked that. That's my favorite moment when he went back, kind of broke good again after becoming Death.
Yeah, I remember that big reveal when he, came out as that fourth horseman, the Death Horseman, and he had that skull mask. I thought that was like so cool looking, just imagery. It was cool. And that he had some kind of offensive ability now where he could, throw the little blades from his wings. I thought that was really cool. And then, like you said, the kind of coming back from the dark side, I guess you want to call it. It was a nice story arc, but since then it's like, yeah, he's kind of just been forgotten about. And I don't know, as an offensive, bruiser type of character, he's got potential, but it's like they don't know what to do with him now.
Yeah. I'm reading about him in Days of Future Past right now. He's in the first few issues, and I can't really say much about it because it's not like a main character in that storyline, but I know I picked him for my from when we had the draft.
Well, it's Team Bruce. Team Bruce. Any other thoughts? We can move on. There's lots of characters.
My favorite is the first fight between Archangel and Sabretooth in X Factor 52. Showed that he wasn't a punk. He actually had some grit to him.
I like the juxtaposition. Whenever you have Archangel or Angel, and Nightcrawler together. You have a literal angel and demon. And if you're a human looking at mutants, you're like, oh shit, they have literal angels and demons. Like, so it's part of that uncanny, like, natural innate fear of mutants if you're a human, you know? I don't know.
All right. My guy, Colossus.
All right, I'm gonna go first.
An X-Men?
I'll go last.
He's not even on the show, so
He should be. He should be on the show, guys.
you should.
I was gonna say something, but no spoilers because somebody's not caught up on newer stuff. So
I know a decent amount of what's kind of happened lately with him, but I'm just hoping that he ends up somewhere. I heard that he's going to be in the Capullo Hickman Wolverine miniseries, so I will definitely be reading that. All right, favorite Colossus moment.
Okay, can I go?
Yep, yeah, go for it.
Okay. So I'm going to be referencing this a lot because I'm reading it right now. So there's going to be a lot of things that stick out into my mind, but I actually have the book right here. So this is one of my favorite moments of Colossus. I'm not sure if anybody can see that.
It's the book.
But, yeah. The book is issue 140.
Hold on. I'm gonna.
Oh, nice.
The Wendigo cover. Yeah.
Yep, the Wendigo cover. I actually really like this issue. And in the beginning, it's showing that Peter, and you can see Angel here. It's just referencing the fact that, you know, he could be a farmer his whole life. And I really thought that was interesting. Like, it gives you a good background into his previous life before an X-Men. And yeah, I didn't really know too much about Colossus before that. So it's been interesting to read and learn a little bit more about him.
I love that panel where he's pulling out the tree stump.
Yeah,
I use that
like
on
pulling trees up.
He does.
Yeah.
He does like tree work. Yeah.
And I think it's Angel ends up saying, like, you know, it really or maybe it was Nightcrawler. It really shed a new light on him that, you know, Peter's a real person and, you know, not just an X-Men. I just thought it was cool. Trying to find
Who's next?
I like yeah, I mean that's the most or like obvious one, right, Eric? And I think Saul said it.
Yeah, every time he ends up fighting Juggernaut is like a favorite moment because those two just going fist to cuffs is pretty awesome.
Yeah. I like in the oh man. All right, skip me. I'll come back.
okay, I'll go. X-Men 211 when he kills Riptide.
Oh, yeah. And he had all those blades stuck in him.
Kitty Pryde gets hurt, and he's like, "Okay, dudes," just grabs him. And, yep.
Yeah. That's a good
Sorry,
one.
I stole someone's thunder. It means great minds think alike. That's the reason why we hit each other's points so much.
Harpoon, make peace with your gods, little man. You are next. I love
Like,
that.
quack.
And then just
I got one.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike. I gotta think of a new one.
I think we've talked about this on the channel before. Is it 183, the one with the bar fight between Colossus and Juggernaut?
We did talk
yeah.
about
Yeah, you got it. All right. I knew you'd be Johnny on the spot. Yeah, that one's great because again, it's funny. You know, we talk about this, our favorite moments, but it doesn't have to be a good moment. It has to be something that really defines the character. I feel like, and that was great because he breaks Kitty Pryde's heart. You know, and he's out drinking with, you know, Nightcrawler and Wolverine, and they discover Juggernaut's at the bar, and Colossus is a little drunk, spills his drink on Juggernaut, and they beat the crap out of each other in the bar. And Wolverine tells Nightcrawler, like, let it happen, and he just gets the crap beat out of him. And Juggernaut leaves, and Colossus is all ticked off, and Wolverine basically tells them, "It's like, no, we support each other. You know, Kitty always sacrifices herself for the best of the team, and you're being selfish right now." And he basically lets Juggernaut beat him up. and it's a great comic. It's a great one. So yeah, not flattering for Colossus, but I think it's an important character moment for him. You don't see him being a jerk that often, honestly.
Yeah.
I got a few off the top of my head. I mean, like, one of the ones I really like that I've mentioned before is when I don't have the issue handy, but when they're in Australia and they've kind of they're assumed dead around the world. Everybody thinks the X-Men are dead. Colossus actually goes into limbo to help his sister Ileana fight off demons and fight off the demon Sim. And she's trying to like maintain her control over Limbo. And Colossus, being this big brother, kind of shows up and helps her in this time of need. And he still he kind of puts it on like he's just like a ghost or he's not real, like he's not truly alive, and he keeps that sort of that the fact that they are alive to himself still. She sort of thinks that he's a bit of an illusion or an angel coming back from heaven to help her. But it was a pretty powerful, it's kind of a whole issue, but that's one of my favorite ones. Also, being a big brother, I like that as well. And then of course, the big one is when he sacrifices himself with injecting the legacy virus so that he can cure all the mutants, right?
So I'll just do it up on the screen.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah, next gen, the fastball special. Like you said,
I had to
Ryan,
look
the
up that
legacy
one.
virus.
I was gonna say first
and then
fastball special.
Joss Whedon brings them back, like, was it 15 years later, something like that? And one of the first things he does is the full splash page of the fastball special. And I remember audibly being like, yes, yes. So that was
when he emerges out of that shadow with Kitty is
that's one of them.
That's cool.
Eric, that's from a recent book.
That's the new
right,
one
Eric?
that Josh is talking about.
Yeah, that's the one I use on the Pages of X, the animated.
Yeah, I looked it up. Number 100 was the first time they used the fastball special. That he launches little Logan. I just thought that was such an awesome idea. Let's just throw this man that's all blades and
Yeah.
I don't even think they call it the fastball special. I think that's when he tosses him like kind of directly vertical up to the top of the castle. Is that it? I think that's
that issue. Yeah.
The first fastball special. All right. Any other moments? We can move on. Obviously, I like spending time on my guy, but
Nothing wrong with that.
Orm.
Ooh.
This one I know everybody loves. So many moments. Let's see what you guys think.
Well, Storm has become my favorite character. And I really loved how the show was able to capture her power and that she truly is a goddess. In the Krakoa age, the Rocco, they like turning Mars, they turned Mars into another, planet that's inhabited by mutants, and it becomes like, the center of Soul. She becomes like the guardian of Soul. Like, they just elevate her character to where now, like, she used to hesitate to kill somebody. Now that she's been like with the Iraqis, she's like, she doesn't give any shits. She'll smite anybody. So she's like in her peak form right now in comic books, and they're gonna make her kind of like the leader of the Avengers or something like that. And so I think Marvel's really taken her character seriously and bringing it
she'll be
next level. But I think the scene that really stands out for me is in the tunnels of the Morlocks.
Yeah, you got it.
Hey, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, no, it's a good one.
It's so iconic. It just shows her, like when she snatches that blade out of the air. Like, Mike, feel free to, like, you're an orator. You go for it, man, because
No, it doesn't really need much of a description. I mean, she fights Callisto. It's fantastic, and then she takes control of the Morlocks. Like it's just a badass moment. It's one of the best, most badass woman comic moments of all time. She's fantastic.
And that's one of the best moments that they translated really well into the original animated series.
Yeah,
that episode when they fight is a really good one.
There, I got one. That's
Great.
This was probably one of my first favorite moments of Storm because the fact that she has no powers and she kicks Scott's ass for the leadership of the team. I loved this issue.
That's also first Nathan.
Baby.
Yeah, baby Cable.
Also right around when Cyclops leaves that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's basically what makes it possible, right? The fact that she wins that.
So I got actually. Oh, go ahead.
So I was just gonna say, Sal wrote a really good one when she was trapped at Doom's castle, encased in chrome. Her powers were forming a huge storm, and when she's freed, she's got lightning coming out of her eyes, and she's actually like, that moment, she's actually out of control. Her powers kind of like take her out of control, and she's like threatening the entire global weather system in that book. That's a great moment.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is I think it's, you guys are gonna correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's part 2 of the Days of Future Past storyline. Cyclops has left the team, Storm's in charge for the first time, and she's leading, and like I think Wolverine is like, she's giving Wolverine commands, and she's like, I don't listen to you. He's like, you're gonna listen to me. She's like, I'm not Cyclops. You do exactly what I say. I think she tells him like, sheathe his claws. He's like, Cyclops wouldn't take that from me. She's like, but you're gonna.
Yes. Foot down. Puts the foot down. That's leadership.
It's like kind of like hitting the puppy with the rolled up newspaper.
Yeah.
Mine's issue 102, the origin. Really, really fascinating to read her origin story, where she came from, and yeah, I like that. I mean, aside from that, there's just so much, life, death. It's really epic. I mean, it's made apparent in the show, and she's crazy good, and she definitely, like Josh said, she needs to be, shown her true. What she really can do, which is, I don't read any of the new stuff, but from what he's saying, that's what Marvel's going to now, so that's good.
Troy, you have a moment?
I don't know. It's not like a fancy action moment, but it's the in one of the original classic X-Men like backstories. I don't know if you guys remember that they always have like a second story instead beyond the reprint. Yeah. But when Jean Grey helps her get over her claustrophobia, was a pretty kind of a cool, like, just shows you just how how vulnerable she is, but how what kind of a bond her and Jean Grey had at that time.
Yeah, that's another great thing that they showed really well in the new '97 animation. They captured that bond between the two of them really well. My moment is when she gets her powers back in 226. Ford shoots her with that reverse gun that he's created, and then she slowly starts to feel it, and she wonders even if she wants them back, because she's learned so much not having them. But then all of a sudden she feels the lightning, and she's just like, she becomes Storm, and she flies into the air. That's such a good moment. Long overdue moment, but that's cool. Awesome. Let me just make you big here.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Bruce.
There's Bruce.
Yeah, a friend of mine, a guy I've met recently, is from Massachusetts, John Mills. He's an incredible artist. He's like, hey, take these. How much of prints I did? I was like, wait, you did these? Yeah, like he's really, really good, and I love this one. So
that's
awesome.
That is really cool.
Pretty dope. So
good.
Yeah. I gotta find a good spot for it back here. But
I also, Troy, you were mentioning classic X-Men. I gotta just like throw out a shout out to that sick room divider you found.
Oh my gosh,
that thing is so cool. And for anybody doesn't follow Troy, or it's double-sided. He's got another issue on the other side. That's so cool.
Yeah,
I love that cover too. Is so good. Oh man, look at that.
Where does one get one of those?
Right.
I know. It's so cool.
I don't think they make them anymore. So
You just don't want anyone else to have something cool.
You could end up making your own, right? You buy one and then you get like vinyl prints and stuff. But who wants to do all that work?
No, I only found one online after I found that, and they wanted like $250 for it. I got it for $30 off of a Facebook Marketplace.
Wow.
Hey, John, thanks for joining tonight.
Solid pickup.
All right, so the Mistress of the Elements, we've got her down. Although he is an X-Men for certain periods of time. Kind of the only semi-villain, semi-good guy that I threw in the mix because it's Magneto. You got to keep Magneto in the mix. Let's discuss our favorite moments of Magneto. I'll jump in. And he's got so many epic, cool moments with his powers and stuff like that. So, but he's also like, again, and we saw it in the cartoon, like he has such incredible dialogue. And I had to think of this line that he said during the Fall of the Mutants when he was kind of leading the New Mutants, and he says, Doug had just died, and he says to Magic, or Magic actually says, "Are you going to do anything?" And he says, "I'm going to do the hardest thing I have ever done. I'm going to call Doug's parents and find a way to tell them I let their son die."
Oof.
Yeah.
Brutal line, but like he's like that. He's just always been written so well, and that line is like super powerful moment. Yeah. So I figured you guys wouldn't have that one, so I jumped in first. Who wants to go next?
Man.
There's so many really with him. Whether it was like from 200 with the trial, or back in the Acolyte days, even modern times. Like one of the ones that stands out modern for me is at the beginning of the Krakoa age, when they were taking all the delegates to like their UN, and he basically point blank tells them that you have new gods now. And it's just like he just laid down the law there. It's just like
that was cool.
Whispering, talking, how can we work this to our advantage? And he's just like, you have new gods now. There's nothing you can do, type of thing. And I was just like, man, he ain't playing.
To piggyback on that, the book I picked out is a modern book. It's from the Krakoa era. If you guys want an introduction to how badass Hickman can be, pick up this book and read it. It's kind of a one shot, but it really just it just pushes so well. It's amazing. But there's one, where is it, that Magneto says that just, it's the craziest thing. Oh, yeah. Okay. So to set the stage there, before all the representatives of the world, and Krakoa is now a sovereign nation, and they're, they've established themselves, and they're having like a peace summit, and they're challenging Magneto. Magneto's taking center stage. Professor X is kind of sitting back. Apocalypse is like looming, and but Magneto says, "Armaments, universal debt, and planned obsolescence. Are these not the three pillars of Western prosperity?" And then he goes on to say, "That's exactly what we're going to do, but we're going to do it better." And he just, like Eric was saying, he just said, essentially says, like, we're going to do everything you've done, but better. Adapt. Total badass.
What's going on, Hialeah? That is a cool moment. That's quite a line. Burn her and slowly, so she doesn't forget how dying like this feels.
Yeah.
Wow.
Brutal.
That's brutal. Yeah.
Magneto moments.
so many. This is so hard. I mean, you can pick anything. He is such a well-written character. And God Loves Man Kills is the first time you see him really, his humanity, if you can use it that way. You see his softer side, and you start to believe Magneto's right. So everything he does, and now, I mean, we can pick any character in God Love Man's Kills. Honestly, they're all fantastically written. But I'm going to change up. I'm actually going to go with Age of Apocalypse Magneto because he's actually the leader of the team by himself, and he's a good leader. Like, yes, the X-Men are all kind of villainous jerks, but he doesn't really come off to me that evil. He seems like he's got his head put together, and he's the only one who can actually oppose Apocalypse. So I don't know. I like Age of Apocalypse Magneto. Maybe it's just me. I'm a sucker for that. It was right in an influential part of my young life.
It had nothing to do with Rogue, right?
No. Why would you even say that? I wasn't thinking that at all. There's so many reasons to like that. I'm sorry. I don't love the art of Age of Apocalypse, but I'm just going to say that. However, I love the storyline.
I'm looking forward to finally reading it. I'm getting close. Troy?
I would say Acts of Vengeance, when he met up with the Red Skull. He kind of showed that even though he was a bad guy at that time, like even he has his limits. And of course, the Red Skull ran like a little coward, but it's just a good thing where like the whole spiel that he talks, like, you know, I'm not working with a Nazi scum like you, and just kind of puts it out there. That's probably like, I don't know, kind of out there, like, because like the whole thing of Acts of Vengeance was making the bad guys look so terrible, and then here's this moment where like the hero of him kind of pops out.
What? Let's see. This is a more modern one. What was Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, that was cool. They don't do enough of that. There was a while where Magneto could just knock someone unconscious by reversing their blood flow. I don't know why he doesn't do that all the time. What was the comic where he stops that gigantic bullet? There's a huge bullet like that's gonna hit the Earth, and he like single-handedly stops.
Isn't Kitty in that or something too? Like, I thought there was also something where Kitty is in like a speeding thing. And
how many times do we have giant bullets heading towards the Earth?
I don't remember, but I know there's a giant alien bullet, and he like stops it from like light years away. I don't even know how he does it, but silly.
That rings a bell. What era is it?
It's modern. It's modern.
Then maybe not. I thought there was another time.
No one knows. Travis would know. Where's Travis?
I know.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's in the new X-Men run. It's like a one-off or something, but yeah.
It was like Astonishing X-Men or one of those.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Bruce?
I love when we get stumped because like we're all sharing all this stuff because there's so much X-Men lore. We're all over the place. And it's just like you guys are turning me on to all these books that I haven't read that I have.
This is really good information for me. Somebody that hasn't read a lot of comics.
but it's not helpful. I feel like stuff I read when I was younger, like the older X-Men stuff, I can remember like issue numbers. Like I know what happened. But modern, like everything from 2000 to now is blurred in my mind. I can't tell you which ones happened first. It's just because the stories aren't as good. I don't know. But they're jumbled. I have a hard time with it.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to be boring and just reference X-Men 97 because I haven't read a lot of X-Men to begin with. I mean, I'm slowly starting to. And, you know, listening to you guys talk about it, it does sound really interesting. And that show just really put Magneto in a new perspective for me. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, just how powerful he really is. And it just kind of threw me back. I'm like, wow, Magneto was right, but I think Ryan and Mike were right.
We were. You should have read it higher.
Keep reading, and you know.
I'm surprised nobody said anything about we've talked about it to death lately, but him pulling out the adamantium from Wolverine.
Oh yeah, I didn't want to be boring and say that one. But
it's kind of common.
Everyone skipped that one in the trial of Magneto because those are the obvious ones.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on. We've got Rogue. A lot of great moments with Rogue. Who wants to kick it
Good
off?
asset too.
Here's my question with Rogue. When she takes somebody's powers, does she get a little bit more white in her hair?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I feel like it just depends on the artist.
Yeah.
I feel like she'd be all white hair by now if she did.
Yeah, she really would be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as Eric just pointed out, Age of Apocalypse Rogue is fun. Again, I was like 14 years old.
Well, I'll jump in. I really like the issue 194 when Juggernaut and Nimrod come to blows and the X-Men come to intervene, and Rogue ends up having to take the powers of both Colossus and Nightcrawler at the same time.
Yeah.
And she ends up like having a metallic body, kind of Nightcrawler face, and she's got both abilities. That was a pretty cool moment. I feel like that's the first time she ever took two powers at the two identities, two powers at the same time, and used them simultaneously. That was really cool moment.
Mm. I feel like and certainly in the cartoons and stuff, they don't do enough with the stealing powers. Like that's her mutant power, right? They just keep making her a Superman character, but it's the stealing powers is her thing, and I wish they did more creative stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a great point too. Like, it is cool how she doesn't just take your power; she does like kind of take your personality a bit too, and it can backfire, right? Like she's got to be careful when she uses her powers. Any Rogue moments?
And not from the comic books, but from the first X-Men movie. I really love Anna Paquin's Rogue, and how they introduce her character, and how she we follow Rogue into the world of X-Men. I loved that more innocent take on her. But she's never really been my favorite. She's always been the eye candy. She hasn't really always done it for me. I love her power set, and I really loved when she got angry in the animated series.
Yeah,
how she manhandled, you just see that's one of the great things. And I feel like there's a new litmus test. Like the new standard is like in the lexicon of X-Men as reference is X-Men 97, right? Like I feel like we're always going to keep coming back to that. This is also fresh, but like in comic books, I always loved just the romance between her and Gambit, as you guys have heard me say many times before. It's a true romance, and it's really clever, and I love everything about it. Until I'm glad I never read any of the stuff where they're married and all that. So yeah.
Eric, you were gonna say something?
I got an old reference of when she was still a villain. I love this issue. This is 158. You kind of get to meet her, interact with Storm and Wolverine for the first time, and they're in. I think they're in. I want to say NORAD or something. They're going there for something, and Captain Marvel's going with them. Carol Danvers, who was powerless at the time, and they run into Rogue, and it just turns into a big, huge fight in the facility, which is kind of fun. She's just like.
That's her second appearance, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Third.
Oh, third.
Yeah, that's right. Rom.
Oh, right. Okay.
But yeah, it's just a kind of one of those issues. It's a fun, good guys running into bad guys, and then they just fight. And you kind of see her power level in that, like her and Wolverine just going to town against each other. And it's a lot of fun.
Any other moments? Any other?
I was going to say when they finally answered, will they, won't they? And she finally kisses Gambit, putting him into a coma and finding out what kind of a scumbag he used to be. X-Men 41, if anybody wants to go read it.
Nice. Is that the Kiss cover? Is that the famous?
Yeah, it's right before Age of Apocalypse. They think the world's coming to an end, so she just says, hell with it. And kisses him and finds out all the great things about him.
That's another old X book when she teams up with Wolverine to save.
Oh yeah, that was when she was first on the team, pretty much.
To save him from his wounds. Or he kissed her to save her. Yeah. All right. I think I'd be remiss to not mention the Apocalypse booty shot from the animated series. Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple other Jim Lee panels that were quite nice of Rogue, but we can move on. Now we get to Nightcrawler, Kurt Wagner, Mike's favorite character. I might have actually trouble picking a
We're
moment.
gonna have another hour of Mike just talking about Nightcrawler.
No, this is almost impossible for me.
You can only pick one, Mike.
That's the hard part.
Can I start?
You guys
before
go
he goes in?
Go for it, Troy.
X2, the movie, the opening scene where he goes to the White House. I mean, that's
I love that one.
Chef's kiss.
Totally agree. That is probably my favorite action sequence in all of Marvel movies or superhero movies. And there's a lot of great ones. I absolutely love that White House sequence. It's so good. Josh, Eric, I got one
that pops to mind for me is in the new like Powers of X Hickman run. His first, first run where they go to this master mold that's surrounding the sun. And they know it's they're not coming back from the mission.
Yeah.
And Nightcrawler's going to teleport Wolverine super close to the sun, and he goes, is it going to be hard where we're going? And Nightcrawler says, "It does not matter. We will see each other there, friend." And it was just this bond between them. That was a terrible Nightcrawler, by the way. But
it's bad, actually.
Yeah.
Don't sell yourself for it.
Yeah, I know. Perfectionist. No, but that right there kind of like it choked me up in that moment because it was just like looking, beyond the veils of life and death, and in that moment, finding kinship and friendship that spanned years of our imaginations. So that just summed up Nightcrawler to me in a really powerful way.
That was a cool moment. I've read that, and it's that's a powerful one.
Yeah, I think he really came into his own in that first limited series that they had for him. When they kind of first started showing him as that swashbuckler and stuff. Because up until that point, he was always just like a supporting role character. They didn't really deep dive his background a lot or who he was as a person. So a lot of my early memories of him are from that limited series. It was a fun limited series, really. It didn't really have, life or death type of consequences or anything like that. It was just like an action movie, really, with Nightcrawler.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this all day, obviously, and I could only think of the moments that he's not so great. I don't know what it is for me, but whenever I think of the most memorable moments, the ones that stick out for any of these characters, it's the weird ones, like the one where Nightcrawler finds out his girlfriend's actually his foster sister, and he's happy.
Amanda,
that's weird. That jumped in my head. When he
right
died,
at the end of that's the end of the annual, right? Annual,
yeah,
that one, yeah.
Just weird. There's so many moments for me that really captures Nightcrawler is that he is a support character. You're absolutely right. For a long time, but he's always like he's the soul of the X-Men, right? They said that in the most recent The Uncanny Spider-Man. Like he is always the heart of them, and he's always there. Like whenever the other X-Men, these objectively beautiful X-Men, are having a hard life, Nightcrawler's always there to be like, you could be me, and I'm way happier than you. Like he's had this horrible life where he's been abandoned. He looks like a demon, and he's still the pluckiest one, and he's always the voice of reason, the best friend to put a hand on your shoulder. He does it with Cyclops. He does it with Wolverine all the time. I mean, there's a million moments like that, and every single time I read those, it captures them. But he can still be that swashbuckling, fun, blue demon looking guy. So I mean, I have too many moments with him. You know, again, I think he exemplifies the mutant cause more than any other X-Man because he looks so weird. I'm kind of tipping my hand. One of my panels I was going to show later is from God Loves Man Kills, the end of that book, when Stryker's like, how can you call them human? And he points to Nightcrawler looking as creepy as they can make him. You know, like that is the way people look at mutants, you know what I mean? And the irony is the most human person of all the X-Men is in many ways Nightcrawler, you know, the most genuine one. So, yeah.
He really embodies mutants for sure.
He does.
Like his looks.
Right.
And I love how Kitty Pryde is just, when she first meets him, she's just, oh, he's so ugly. I want to like him, but I just, you know, she's just so shy of him. But then she finds out of how great of a guy he is.
And he's trying so hard to make her like him, bring her lemonade and stuff. And he's always like, you know, So, all right. So here's my one moment. Ready? So I told you how much of why I like him. I'm going to pick something the opposite of that. We're going back to Age of Apocalypse. Kurt Darkholm, raised by Mystique, when he teleports Deadpool's head off his body. So a much darker Nightcrawler. That's the opposite. To show how powerful he actually could be. Awesome. He's like, I have had enough of this. He just teleports, grabs his head, teleports away, and dumps his head, and it's pretty awesome. So I'm leaving with that one.
A few weeks ago, I was on the Codex comic station. They do a character of the week. We did Nightcrawler, so there was like tons of Nightcrawler moments we talked about. Sal brings up a couple this was the one I was going to bring up when he teleports to save Hope at the cost of his own life when he kills Bastion. Super heavy, huge moment for him. This is another great moment we talked about on that show. A conversation he has with Wolverine about trying to save his soul, or like, is his soul redeemable after he had just killed a ton of people, a ton of men. And Uncle Gary over on Codex read out some of the dialogue. It was a pretty powerful moment between him and Wolverine, a very cool one. And then I mentioned it's so little, it's so small. I don't remember the issue now, but it's early on. It's Cockrum, Claremont, and it's just a moment when Nightcrawler tells Colossus, "You go low, I'll go high," on Eric the Red, and they basically cut him going both directions, both top and bottom. It's just an epic takedown using both of them in battle, working together. Love that moment. So that's Kurt Wagner. So we could do one of two things. We could do Kitty Pryde and then go into panels, or we could just go into panels. What do you guys think?
What the hell?
Just kidding. Troy, we got to do your favorite character. And I don't know, are you ready? You got a favorite moment? You want to take this first?
I do have a favorite moment. Matter of fact, I'm going to share. This is not one of my panels, but it highlights it better. But it is when she rips out Emma Frost's heart.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
That's sick.
Hold on. I'm just going to make you big for a sec.
Yeah, that's cool. Oof. What book is that?
Astonishing X-Men, I believe.
That's really cool. I'm gonna have to get that just for that.
Crazy.
Ugh. But yeah, that's probably my favorite because she's so. I mean, she almost did the same thing to Doctor Doom. She's almost killed so many major characters. So underutilized sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, they're using her in the modern.
yeah, she's definitely changed.
I mean, that's
and all that.
One of my favorite moments is in the modern where she kind of just goes off the chain at the start of the Fall of X, and she's fighting those the bad guys, and she's just kind of chuckles at them and like phases guns into their heads and each other into, makes a big mass, body parts. Some guys she phases into the ground and then just walks away.
Yeah.
It's just like, dang.
Yeah, she's one of those characters, if you actually really thought through her power set, is like stupid. Like she could do anything. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like the astonishing run where the focus is on Kitty. And I always saw her as kind of like, the young kid who gets pulled into outer space and falls in love with a hunky man made of steel and hates the professor. But like Kitty as an adult really kind of came into focus in that astonishing run. And I love that we got to see that story through her lens. And then her seeing Colossus again, and they bring back Colossus. Was really cool when she's trapped inside a giant bullet. There's those bullets again.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, just the Joss Whedon run. No particular issue or anything like that.
She's had plenty of moments. I couldn't remember what exactly the story was because she's done this so many times. But there's one particular one where she was like a real hero phasing through I think it was probably during the Brood saga or something, but when she was phasing through parts of the ship and she just kind of saves the X-Men. I was literally trying to like scratch out of my mind what this storyline was because I remember I liked it so much, but I couldn't remember anything specific about it. But I've always just liked how she can phase through technology or any kind of tech to kind of take it out of commission and again, just another element of her power that's just like ridiculous that she can do. Any other thoughts? All right.
I would let her phase through me anytime.
All right. So the other part of tonight's, I guess, homework was to pick out your 3 favorite panels ever, which is hard, super hard. So I apologize for giving you guys tough work. But let's see what you guys got. Who wants to kick it off?
Sure, I'll go.
All right, Bruce.
So I've been reading this. I got this on my trip, and this is a trade paperback of Days of Future Past. And the first one that came to my mind is going to be an oddball one. I don't think anybody else is going to choose this. But I am reading. Let me just go back to the beginning here. Talked about it in the beginning of the show, issue number 140 with the Wendigo here. And the panel that I wanted to show is this one right here. I don't know why it's sticking out to me so much, but I saw this right here. Sorry, I'm really trying to get it on camera. Where my ring finger or my middle finger is. I saw this panel in this book, and I was like, that looks eerie familiar. And then I looked through my comic box today, and it's almost the same thing. So,
like there's another panel that looks exactly the same in that one.
Yeah. So everybody knows this book is the first Sinister, and Ryan has 1 billion copies of this.
Oh, you're talking about the cover.
Yeah,
the
layout.
cover. Yeah,
Yeah,
very
cover.
similar layout.
Yeah,
very, very similar. And I'm like, it was just weird because I'm reading through this book, and I'm just like, that looks exactly like that cover. And it does. It's almost the same thing.
It's a knockout.
Yeah. I just thought that was kind of weird. And I really like the story as well. I mean, if anybody hasn't read that issue, I definitely recommend it.
Cool.
I'm thinking expensive panels. Like, I have to be very careful.
So I get to show 3, or you want to go around?
Go for it, Bruce.
Okay. My next one, let me open it up here. Totally unprepared. Issue number 130. There's a lot of really good panels in here, but the splash page for me does it with this book.
Yeah.
When I was reading through this book and I got to the splash page, I could just imagine being there. I don't know. It just gave me that like old musty cigarette smell kind of
I just
feeling.
tilted a little forward just because you're getting a ton of glare on that.
Yeah, it's probably my light. Is that good?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that's great.
better, yeah.
That's
Yeah, sorry. It was probably just
No
my
worries.
light.
No worries. No worries.
So, like I said, I was reading through this book, and I could just imagine myself being there in that car, in that club, and this book has a lot of really good panels. One at the end I was going to show a while ago because we were talking about Nightcrawler, and it made me think of this one right here, where he's in the back of the car, and then they see Jason Wingard. Really thought it was cool. I've talked about that panel with Dan before.
Yep. I remember you talking about that one.
I don't know why I always reference that one. I just really like it. And then my last one here, before anybody gets to it for me. I put a mark here. Okay, good. If anybody else has this one.
No. It's a good one.
That one's a very good one.
Yeah, we talked about that last council, right? Like that, they literally made that panel into the last shot of that episode when he does that. It's so good.
Perfectly
really made this book famous. I mean, I had this book as a kid, and it's nice to have it back in my collection, but I mean, you can't go anywhere now and not see this book. I mean, it's probably why I picked it up and I was able to find it, is just because it's so popular right now. I didn't pay much for it, so I'm glad. I really wanted to see that panel in person, be able to read it.
All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go, because I have another awesome panel that someone's going to steal if I don't. This first one I'm also going to submit on behalf of our good friend Dan Zexman, because we both have the same idea. You couldn't make it tonight. We have to go with the final panel.
Oh, yeah.
Number 132 in the Dark Phoenix Saga. You guys know what's coming. Come on.
Well, we know what's coming.
You know what's coming. Wolverine alone. Awesome. With the shadow of the rafters over him. Okay, suckers, you've taken your best shot. Now it's my turn. Come on.
So good.
My favorite panel of Wolverine, which leads into my favorite cover of Wolverine, number 133. So I love it. We're going to go up ahead a couple issues because you got to do this. I love talking about covers, obviously wherever the heck it is back here. First Phoenix there in 101. Well, the counterpoint to that is the first time we get Dark Phoenix, which happens in issue number 134. And just iconic. Boom. There you go. First Dark Phoenix. Love that panel. And I was going back and forth on this one. I know I mentioned that one from God Love Man's Kills, but I'm going to call an audible. I love that one. But I just thought of this one as I look behind me. You guys see that right there?
Yep. The group
that was
shot.
a print I got at Terrificon last year, signed by Art Adams and Chris Claremont. And that appears in annual number 9, which is an awesome issue, by the way, with the X-Men and Asgard. Awesome. But look at the first page.
Yeah.
You get Art Adams, you get the X-Men right there at the time, my favorite iteration of the team, and then you get the New Mutants down the bottom, all by Art Adams. Again, this wasn't my choice until I saw it a second ago. I looked back there and said, I want that panel. So that's what we're picking for now.
Go.
There you go. So I don't love how Phoenix looks back then. And Rogue's hair is ridiculous. But other than that, looks pretty cool.
The 80s.
Very 80s. That's all I got.
Who's up? Eric, you look ready.
I am ready, and you'll be proud of me. I have one book.
One book.
One book.
Just
It
one.
all
that
happened in
down.
one book.
Now this was
Come
really
on.
hard because there's so many different panels that I want to, show off and stuff. But kind of, I was thinking about it. I'm like, okay, what can I do? And I thought of something very similar to Heroes for Hope, where you had a lot of different artists working on the book.
Mm-hmm.
I went with Giant Size X-Men, but
Yeah.
it's the tribute issue that came out a
Yes.
couple of years ago. So every page in this was done by a different artist. And I'm kind of on that quest to get artists to sign it. I actually only have Joshua Cassara so far because he's the only one I've come across. But yeah, I thought it was neat to compare this to the original and just see how different it is. I mean, just looking at the covers, you see the difference of it. It was kind of cool. But so yeah, I went with, let's go with the very first page is actually my first selection. And that is where we get to first see the new team busting through the cover. You see the old team above, and this was done by Alex Ross.
Yeah.
Very, very cool version of that.
So cool.
Good choice.
And then let's see the next one. I got to find it. I put tabs in here to help, but of course I put more than what I needed. Oh, here it is. So this one is done by Mark Brooks, and it's where we see the team in the mansion.
Yep.
And of course, yeah, you got, Firestorm up there complaining and the lonely Logan there wondering where the next brew is. And yeah, very cool. And then let's see, the last page is when they actually are doing the fight. Let's see, I think this one, I like this one, page 31 by Pepe Larez, where they're all fighting. They, release the old team and the new team. They're all fighting Krakoa. Very cool. Very, I don't know, kind of reminds me of the monster movies from the 80s, big creature. Look at Storm right up front, just throwing it down. Very cool. So yeah, if you guys don't have this issue, it's really cool to get this, compare it to the old. They got a cool write-up in the back, of the writers and the artists of that time. Little interview, and there's a little thing with Chris Claremont talking about them too. And there's a little bit of the mansion shot. So yeah, it's very cool. I think I found this for $1.
Yeah.
So,
Eric, I think I have a different one than you. So I have it, but mine's, I didn't know that. I like yours better.
Yeah, it's pretty much almost. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
One.
This one has everyone listed. I mean, now you added the quest to me too. Now you're gonna make me stupid follow this around.
Well, I think when you started doing that with this one, I was like, man, that's a good idea. And I got a couple on this one. I mean, this
I got a story at the end after we're off camera for you guys about that.
This was one day X-Men for me.
One thing I want to mention, you know what's funny about when you look at this though, watch the different versions, you just kind of made me realize that. You guys notice how, like, if you watch like 80s television, you see people that were like 40 years old, they look like 60-year-olds look like now. The same thing with the way they drew superheroes. If you look at the Giant Size X-Men, they're all like teenagers. They're supposed to be, but they all look like they're all like, 50 years old. But when they redraw those panels, they look young again.
Yeah.
Like they actually, like Thunderbird looked like a kid. Like that's the way they're supposed to be. Just thinking out loud here. You just made me realize it. But now I'm going to read this comic while you guys are talking. Sorry.
All right. Who's up next? Josh, Troy.
I'll go.
All right. Troy's up.
Okay, so where do we start? Okay, we're going to start with, I'm not going to go in order when it came out, but since this is on the Colossus Collectors channel, I wanted to show my favorite panel with Colossus.
Oh, I love that panel.
Just shows you how overly towering he is.
That was another moment I was thinking about talking about. I actually did a short of that where I voiced it and put sound effects in and stuff. But yeah, that's a great moment when he kills a brood.
That whole story,
human form,
great. Especially when Wolverine at the end kills the old boy who don't even realize who he is, or what he's done. Anyways, so my next, even though he's not one of my favorites, it is a Gambit panel. And this one he gave Gladiator the whole deck of cards.
Nice.
I always wanted this as a shirt.
That's cool.
Right?
Love that panel.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Love Gladiator too. Anytime you could get Gladiator in,
Yeah.
a good day.
Have we had a good Gladiator versus Colossus fight yet?
I don't know. I feel like
Shit.
Gladiator probably wins that, but
I think there was one during the Phoenix saga.
Cannonball beat Gladiator, so I mean it can be done. But anyways, and my last one is, and this is
Yeah.
yeah, that's that annual we were talking about.
Yeah, this is that annual, and that's just an absolutely gorgeous. I mean, that guy has that great little quote on there. You got everybody down here beating. Great
Oh, I love
artwork.
that. Yeah, that's a good one.
Nightcrawler's Inferno.
And that is King Size Annual 4.
That's a great annual. That's one of my favorite
It
annuals.
really is. I just read through that one and it's awesome.
Good Doctor Strange, man. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, man. So
No.
good. So good. All right. Thanks, Troy. Those were great picks.
Nice.
Josh.
So honorable mention. I know this isn't a panel, but it kind of is. It's a pop-up panel.
Cool.
Brought to me by another council member. And it's amazing.
Very cool.
I'm going to take Eric's lead on this because I honestly didn't get the memo and I thought it was just a specific book we were going through. So I picked one book. But, okay, so I know we talk all over the spectrum and there's a lot of people who haven't read the Krakoa stuff. And we got shortchanged with the pandemic and Hickman walked away from being in charge of X-Men. But he set up so much amazing stuff. And the House of X is just like, do yourself a favor if you love world building and you want to like a nice fresh take on the X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Just
I've read House and Powers of X. That I've read. It's afterwards that I haven't been able to read.
yeah, what's wild is that he throws so much at you that the first time I read it, I was like, am I stupid? I don't get it. It's
I had to
much.
read it like 3 times before I kind of could get
It was
some
a little confusing.
foothold.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's hard to explain it to people because it's so complex. There's so much going on, you know?
Well, there's also it also starts like in situ. Like there's no pre, like it just starts. It just starts. This is what's going on. And you got to go with it. It doesn't ease you in.
That's why I'm really hoping that Marvel will put out the Krakoa era all in omnibus, the way they've done the other eras, like so that it's like all the books in the reading order. You know, I don't have to map anything out. It's just kind of like all set up for me.
So I talked about this earlier. It's this panel right here.
Yeah.
That really defines, you know, when you wake from this earthly slumber, my friend, look for me, and I will be there waiting for you. That was another.
That was awesome because as soon as he teleported, Nightcrawler just got vaporized.
Yeah, look at it right here.
Yeah.
They both just get vaporized, or Nightcrawler immediately, and Wolverine's healing factors just helping him hold on for just a little bit. That's so good.
Yeah, that bottom one, man. He's just.
But it's only like 2 seconds, right? I think he only survives like 2 seconds longer than Nightcrawler.
Just enough time to do what he's got to do.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. And I think this one is kind of beautiful and obvious in the Krakoa. Like, it's maybe a little on the nose, but it's the first time we see the Council of X.
Mm-hmm.
With Krakoa in the background and Jamie chilling in the trees and it's, you know, it's
Quiet Council, right?
Good guys, bad guys, everybody gets a say.
Summer, what was it? Summer, fall, winter, and spring.
Yeah, and you can see all the different you know, panel you know. You have the good guys, kind of like Nightcrawler, Jean, Storm. Then you have
Ryan, when are you going to mock this up with all of us? And the
Then the
console.
kind of bad guys, and then the three big dogs.
Yeah. Just put our heads on them.
Yeah.
There you go.
And one of the things that I loved about the Krakoa era is that Hickman gave us little hints about like Gene and Scott and Logan's relationship. And I really loved that like evolve was the thing. And I think they all evolved their relationships. And they're already starting to backpedal and say, oh, we don't have any evidence of them being in a throuple. That's just kind of made up. And I don't like it. I don't like it. But what really did my heart good was when you had
the cheers scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm terrible with this.
Other way. Yeah. Left is right, right is left. Up and down.
All right. Here we go.
Is that the Havoc? I don't know which there's so many panels.
Yeah, I know.
That one. The one with Gene and Cyclops and Wolverine?
Yes, that one.
Yeah, there you go.
Right there.
Oh my God. Like, gives them a beer and
back going and stuff. I love that. I
love it. And this whole Bacchanalia, Krakoa, it's inspiring, and I just love it. Like, he just kind of lays out the best of us in a new sovereign nation of Krakoa, and I just love it. Peak X-Men for me.
Cool picks.
There we go.
All right. I cheated. I did it all on my iPad. So my first pick comes out of course, X-Men #1. Everybody knows this. The first Jim Lee adjectiveless X-Men. And this is my favorite panel.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's like my favorite Colossus art, I think, ever. There's a lot of good ones, but I love that shot.
Yeah.
And of course, the glow around him, that's his like transforming into his metal form. I've always just loved that panel. Sorry, let's try and get out here. Then I went back, Claremont era. This first one is from X-Men 100, and you get this incredible double page spread of the entire X-Men squad. Of course, they're not all X-Men, they're imposters, but they're the new team versus the old team. You get this incredible 2-page battle scene.
That would make a great poster.
Yeah,
it really would. It's so cool. Cockrum.
Yeah,
and it was hard to pick one. I gotta say, like, it was hard to narrow this down. There was another panel I really wanted to keep, but this one from Uncanny 115 is another just incredible panel, and it's John Byrne. Just look at that thing, like another poster worthy.
Yeah, that's the Wolverine that's on my other Wolverine shirt
panel. I feel like that's like the sexiest Rogue I've ever seen, or a sexiest Storm I've ever drawn. So yeah, those are my three favorites. I'll an honorable mention to this panel, this top panel, with the with all the X-Men in there, like circus posters. I think that panel is just so cool.
Yeah.
And so those are my favorite panels. But I mean, like, I picked out so many panels I'm looking at right now that are just incredible. But we'll save those for another time. So, guys, nice pick. I love looking at the art. It was a good excuse to get in and start trying to find some cool panels. Thanks for bringing those tonight. Before we go, just want to ask if anybody's got anything to plug, promote on their channels, on their IG, please go ahead. Mike, why don't you kick us off? I know you always got something going on.
I always do. Yeah, every Monday I got something, guys. So today video came out. It was a good one. I got some giganticus books. I got in a comic swap. That was really fun. A lot of other YouTubers were actually at the place, so it was cool. Next Monday, I have a pretty cool video, and you will see another fellow Council of X member there. Sasquatch will be in that video. So that's kind of cool, and it's
Awesome.
just neat to see council members in person, and that's how we greeted each other in the video. So it's kind of cool. So
That is
so you all get a shout out in that video next week.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Looking forward to that.
sweet.
Troy, what's new?
I'm actually going to finally do my room tour.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Those videos are always good. Good views on those. So we'll all be looking forward to checking out that awesome room you got there. When do you think you're going to put that up?
I'm looking at probably Friday.
Cool. All right. Keep an eye out for the room tour on Awesome Toy Box with Troy. Josh, what's going on? What's new with you? I know you don't have a YouTube channel, but you're selling and you're doing things.
Yeah. I've been taking a social media break from like Instagram and stuff, which you can find me on Instagram. But a few weeks ago there was the Western Mass comic book show, like Mike had mentioned, and it was so great. It was so great just to connect with people, like gifts flying around, and just I love being on that side of it, and really missed being on the other side of the table, rummaging through dollar bins and haggling and all the good stuff that comes with it. But it's such a great time, and set up at a flea market, and have a really great story in that. There was this young girl who came up. I was selling some books, and she's like, I really love the X-Men 97. Do you have any X-Men books? I'm like, do I ever? And she's going through them, and she's like, do you have Jubilee? And I was like, here's Jubilee's first appearance. And literally, like, Jubilee fireworks went off in the back of her head.
That's awesome.
And it was just like, and she only had like $10, and I was just like, $10. And I love it because you just like, it just deepened the lore for her. I hope she cracks it open and reads it. I'm sure she did.
That's cool.
But it was just like little things like that make both sides, as a vendor and as a collector, so much fun. But other than that, just being a dad, doing the treasure hunting thing.
Nice. Well, good luck with all those endeavors. That's
East of the River Comic-Con in Enfield, Connecticut on June 30th. I'm setting up there, and I'll be selling, and that's really fun.
Awesome. So if you're in the New England area, Mass, wherever, check out Sasquatch Comicx at those events. Bruce, what's going on at Up North Comics?
So just like Josh said when he gave out that comic at that show, there's actually, I live right next door to a Christian church, and they were all outside one day, and this little boy came up to me and he's like, "Hey, I love your X-Men shirt." And I was like, "Thanks. You watch the show?" He goes, "No, but I read the comics." And I was like, "Okay." So the next day I see him outside again, and I'm washing my car or whatever I'm doing, and I go up to him and I said, "Hey, little man, are you the one that said you liked my shirt?" And he said, "Yeah, that was me." And I said, "All right, I'll be right back." I come out, I give him 3 X-Men books, and he was just like,
Awesome.
"Thanks so much." Yeah. And I'm really bad at, like, in the moment taking pictures when things like that happen, but I really wanted to get a picture of him, but I didn't see him for the rest of the time. I'm pretty sure he just hunkered down and read those books. So I'm gonna have to get back. But other than that, on the channel tonight, I will be recording. I got some books from 2 council members, actually. I got some books from Cheddar and Dan. So I'll be cracking those out and just doing a reveal of those and posting it this weekend sometime.
Sweet. We'll be looking out for that video. That's a nice story about your kid in your neighborhood. That's awesome. And Eric, what's going on at SideQuest?
I still have lots of videos to do from this past month. I did a lot of shows where I did some, I do a thing on the show where I do a 10 for 10, where I dig through dollar bins and I pick out 10 books for $10. So I got a lot of those I got to finish. Just the basic hauls from those shows. I mean, this right here was one show, so I gotta try to limit it down. And then I'm trying to do some theme type shows. So I got one in the hopper that's birthday books that came out on my birth month. I want to do a quick cleaning. Like, I get a lot of dollar books, and I think some people are like, why the heck did you get that book? Well, if I can read it, I'm okay with it, but I want to go through a process, just real quick process. I wipe them down, I clean them up a little bit just to make them more presentable, because I don't think people realize how easy it is to just do that. And it's like such a big improvement. So just kind of different videos like that, some unboxings. Like Bruce said, I got actually 2 boxes here from Cheddar that I haven't even opened yet. So they'll probably end up being an unboxing or something like that. So I always got some kind of ideas for different videos coming up. I actually had to write them down because I couldn't keep them straight in my head. So more fun stuff.
More stuff coming from SideQuest Comics. So stay tuned, subscribe, watch, like all the stuff.
Smash all the buttons.
For my channel, I'm in need of filming some videos, but they're coming. I'm gonna get some stuff up on the channel in the next week or two. And I just wanted to take a second to just say that although I'm we have such a great comic community here on YouTube, on IG, and there's so many channels, and it's hard to watch everyone. And I definitely am not a viewer of the Lord of the Long Box show, but there's definitely been a lot of news lately with the passing of their host, TiVo, and I just wanted to say condolences to anyone who was a watcher close to him, and obviously his family. We have such a great community, and even if we don't know each other, it's we always kind of feel losses and stuff. So just wanted to send out some positive vibes, some loves, and our condolences to anyone who was affected with that tragic loss. So with that said, I just want to thank all you guys for coming on the channel tonight for another Council of X. I hereby call this session closed, and until the next time, keep collecting. See you guys.